Karmayogi. Organized by the Capacity Building Commission and Karmayogi Bharat, it also marks 5 years of Mission Karmayogi and our journey towards citizen-centric governance. I would now like to invite Chandalekha Mukherjee ma'am, Principal Advisor, Capacity Building Commission, for the inaugural address and session ahead. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Marianka. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I'd like to warmly welcome all our distinguished dignitaries, esteemed colleagues, and participants who have joined us here today. As we come together on the 4th day of the Sadhana Saptah, it is important to briefly reflect on the spirit of this initiative. Sadhana Saptah is not just a series of sessions. It is a collective effort towards deep reflection, knowledge exchange, and strengthening the capacity of our institutions to deliver meaningful outcomes. It brings together diverse perspectives from across the ecosystem, encouraging us to think beyond processes and focus on impact, innovation, and continuous improvement in governance. And all of this is to serve the citizen of the country, Nagarik Devo Bhava, as brought out by the Honorable PM in his address on the first day of the Sadhana Saptah. May I call to the dais Team CGIS, Zia-ul Hoda, Vice President, Head Personnel Management, Ganesh Rao, Lead Sectoral Data Systems, Akshay Arora, Senior Program Manager, Radhika Khurana, Senior Program Manager, and Meher Satsangi, Program Manager, Outcome Measurements. And may I also request Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, our very own Dr. Balu, to grace the dais. The rest, the CGIS team could kindly come to the dais. As we reflect on the evolution of governance in India, one shift is becoming increasingly central, that governance must move beyond delivery to responsiveness. And responsiveness at its core requires us to listen to the citizens in a structured, measurable, and continuous manner. While governments today generate vast amount of administrative data, an equally important question remains: are we adequately capturing the lived experience of citizens? And more importantly, are we integrating that feedback into how policies are designed, implemented, and improved? This session, organized in collaboration with the Center for Effective Governance of Indian States, CGIS, brings a very important perspective to this discussion. We are very grateful to Dr. R. Balasubramaniam to have agreed to preside over and grace us with his views. CGIS has been working closely with governments to strengthen state capability and outcome measurement systems with a strong focus on using data, technology, and evidence to improve service delivery. This work highlights a critical insight that citizen-voiced must complement administrative data, because often it is through independent feedback mechanisms that we are able to identify service delivery gaps that routine systems may not fully capture. Developing and testing different approaches to capturing citizen feedback, ranging from traditional methods such as call centers to more technology-enabled tools, including conversational AI, while carefully examining aspects such as scalability, cost-effectiveness, and real-world feasibility, is also taking place. This session, therefore, is not just about feedback. It is about building robust systems to measure outcomes, generate rapid and actionable insights, and strengthen evidence-based decision-making within the government. It is an opportunity for all of us to reflect on how we can move from data collection to meaningful integration, and from citizen feedback to policy and operational improvements at scale. I am confident that the discussion will offer valuable insights on strengthening citizen-centric, data-driven governance systems aligned with the broader vision of tangible outcomes under Mission Karmayogi. I'll now invite the CJS team for the Chacha on citizen voice measuring and integrating it with the government system. Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir, for that introduction. We are very honored and humbled to be given this opportunity to participate in the Sadhana Saptah 2026. We will take this opportunity to do a very, very quick overview of the importance of citizen voice. How do we measure it and how do we integrate it within your typical workflows? We wanted to start by talking about how this is deeply integrated with all the sutras that have been picked up for this session, right? So one, citizen voice is extremely important as a measure of tangible outcomes, but also bringing it into decision-making forums helps you drive those decisions that may improve the tangible outcomes later. Secondly, to cover India's length and breadth, the diversity of populations, just technology will be super, super important to measure that citizen voice in different ways. And lastly, as there is this vision to espouse Seva Bhav within all the public employees, what we have learned, at least at our work, working with central, state and district governments, is that until the citizen voice is not in the decision-making forums, be it a simple review meeting or any other dashboard that you may be looking at, there is a lack of empathy. So when you bring the citizen voice, there is an introduction of empathy, trust, and ultimately that's what will lead to citizen-centric governance. So without further ado, I'll be using, I think clicker is here. Okay, perfect. So very quick overview of what is the landscape today, what kind of citizen voice methods are available today. Then we'll spend most of the time on few methods and the value of AI and technology in this, and just how does it all come together. So the first thing is that one misconception there may be that there are only certain ministries and departments who should care about citizen feedback, because not everybody is directly serving a citizen. So typically there may be a So typically you may think of citizen voices being primarily important for ration shops, PHCs, schools and Anganwadis, and mostly to understand whether the service is reaching on time or whether it's timely, whether it's of good quality or not. But for every single user, every single government function, there is an end user at the end of the tunnel. There is somebody that you're serving all the time, be it in your regulatory function, in your research function, or in your public service delivery function. So we would like to expand the scope of citizen voice to say that the voice of businesses and firms also comes under this. Maybe it could be feedback given on business sentiments, investment climate. There's also citizen voice not just on service delivery, but on policy design. Because it's not just employment numbers, but quality of jobs, youth aspirations, which could be helpful for designing policies. And lastly, let's not forget the lacks of frontline workers that we have, the school teachers, the Anganwadis, bringing their issues into forefront through talking to them about their supply chain issues, their reporting burdens. These are also important voices to bring into the domain of citizen voice. I think we also bring a lot of empathy to the lived experience of the officials here. It's easy to say that please capture citizen voice, but we also know that you're competing again, with so many priorities on a given day, right? You are implementing various programs, you are doing performance tracking, your performance is being tracked sometimes. So there's so many competing priorities to handle. So we come with that empathy that these methods need to work for you, right? So just to give you an example, this is what a lot of district block officials' day looks like in the morning, right? So many WhatsApp groups, so many images and videos coming your way. This is definitely a way you're hearing citizen voices. But is this enough, right? Secondly, there are so many people who are in video calls, so many webinars. This is a typical scene that so many of us might be experiencing, right? You are in video calls, you are able to talk to every single employee on the ground, and also you have so many dashboards. But is this really enough? Is this enough to capture citizen voice? And we think that not really, right? Talking to government officials up and down the chain, we see a strong intent to make governance more responsive, more citizen-centric. Even though all these tools exist, when we talk to people, they still want to know, are my citizens really receiving the services? How do they think of the quality? Are they able to use the services as intended by you? And of course, as you become more senior, you're also thinking about, are these things translating to outcomes? And the first step towards this is building those systems around you so that you are able to systematically get at citizen feedback. I would just like to say that this is not to say there are no mechanisms existing today. You do have a lot of mechanisms. There are departmental reviews, there are national reports, state reports, but typically they may not be as timely as you'd like. There are media reports and inbound grievances. So there is a lot of progress done on how to get inbound grievances from citizens, but these tend to be skewed towards only certain types of people. So and of course, the age-old tool which is being used a little bit less now, but still very much prevalent, is very structured field visits. So nothing better than that, very insightful, but impossible to scale. So the first step we would want to take is, how do we make some of the slides are a little bit off, don't worry about that. So the first step is, how do we make the voice representative? So what is the average citizen that you're looking at? A lot of the media reports, inbound grievances typically might be biased. So who is your average citizen and how do you hear them? So this helps you prevent anecdotal evidence reliance. You're also able to listen to various genders, geographies, and socioeconomic groups that might otherwise not come. So if there's one step that you want to take back from this session, just one word is representative sampling. So can we keep doing that in all the methods that we take so that you're able to hear from all quarters of the society, right? Now let's come to quickly the methods. There are broadly three methods we wanted to talk to you about. One is the traditional way of using call centers. The second is, how do you leverage AI in this? And the third is representative household surveys. All of these have their own place, and let's take them one by one. So call centers are pretty much known to everybody. Typically, they are being used in the departments to take inbound grievances. But we think that this is very easy to repurpose into outbound intentional surveys. So these are typically short 2 to 5 minute surveys you can do with citizens, asking them about, has the thing that I sent you received? Does it match what you were supposed to get as per policy? And are you satisfied with the quality of services? So these are very easy to do. There are some principles to keep in mind. One, it should be high frequency. So ideally, you want to do it every quarter or 6 months, not as once in a while kind of exercise. It's useful to do this in sub-district levels. So a national level report may be useful, but not very actionable. So how do we make this granular? And the third is, of course, as I said, representative. I'll be super honest, this is not the best technique for everything. When you want to really get to very complex indicators where you need trust of the person, let's say you want to understand family planning choices of a household, this may not be the best technique for that. And the second is, if you're really trying to reach hard to access populations, so these could be tribal groups, these could be remote areas, hilly regions, this may not be the best technique for you, and we'll come to how we can solve this. We've worked with governments at multiple levels, district, state, and center, and all of these have been very successful in making sure that outbound surveys happen. I'm just taking two quick examples here. One is a large district in northern India which managed to upskill the staff they had, about 8 people. They upskilled them with digital tools. and managed to do outbound calling for ICDS services, and they are being used in the district meetings. The second is a southern state WCD department which already had a contracted government call center, and they used that to do outbound calling, again asking services like, did you get the food that you were supposed to get? I won't go into the process flow too much, but just if you had to keep two things in mind, one, different people can do different actions, right? So making the right indicator for the right person really matters. And the second is the infrastructure can be used flexibly. So not necessary that the call center just does survey. For example, we have seen cases of when a state does calling to all the districts. There are some districts that come out as poor performers. You can do more calling there and try to get deeper insights there. So that's what we would suggest as a traditional call center model. But we know that it's really hard to reach at scale, covering so many different languages, so many different crores of beneficiaries. And this is where AI has a role to play. In the last 1 year, there have been really good developments in conversational AI bots. They have developed multilingual capabilities. They are able to do human-like voice and tone. It really sounds very genuine. They are able to conduct lakhs of surveys within the same day. There is no restriction on the staff required. And of course, it is able to also use the knowledge base. So what a PMMVY scheme looks like and what a PMSE scheme looks like are very different. How do you train the AI model to this? It has been cracked already. So these are some quick examples from districts where people have done multiple use cases with our support. So one is, there is a scheme that was that required enrollment, and AI bots were used to ask about the barriers. All of these were done within a single day, right, which would not be possible if you had call centers. The second was, there is a health service that was already being given regularly, and the consumption of that was a very big concern. So this was a regular routine service on which feedback could be taken. And the third is mission mode campaigns. These are quite common, where a sudden campaign was launched to cover all the beneficiaries of a district, and within a day the calls happened, and line lists were created that these were the people who said they did not receive it. So the next day, the frontline workers could do targeted visits. So
what is the time gap between the service already rendered and the survey? Did you actually compare that also as part of the...
Yes, ma'am. So in the third one, it was basically 3 days of a campaign done, and on the 5th day, the calling was done to ask whether they have received those. In any of the 3 days, have you done it or not? And then the line lists were given, so that in the following week, the workers could go for the field. Yeah. And similarly, in the AI summit, there were many other use cases shown. So together, what we want to say is that there are two things to keep in mind if this has to be successful. One, there are a lot of vendors that are developing good capabilities, Servan, 11 labs, and so on. So a careful choice of the vendor matters. And the second is the escalation mechanism. So usually when the AI bot is talking to people, certain complex questions come up, certain sensitive topics come up. So you do want your human callers to be in place to discuss those escalated cases. So how do you make an informed choice? We would say that whenever you are trying to do long surveys, very long branching logics, or you need respondent switching. So a husband needs to give the phone to the wife, and that's when you want to hear them. Traditional call centers are still good. Whenever you're trying to do just informational campaigns, giving nudges, maybe asking 2 questions or 3 questions, AI can lead this fully on its own. But the surveys that we talked about, short 2-minute surveys, satisfaction, timeliness, a hybrid model might be better. And this technology is evolving really fast. So every few months, you could be seeing different things. Just a couple of last things before we close. One, everything need not be a call to the person. So we should also not see that citizen voice always means just picking up the phone and talking. Sometimes there are so many public data sources and alternative data sources like remote sensing that you can create a very high definition view of citizens already. So this is the example we have shown here of farmers, remote sensing, seed, so many other data sources could be brought together for this. Lastly, we still understand that tangible outcomes needs in-person visits. There are some important indicators which are not possible to do through these phone surveys, like child health, women's health, youth standard of living and such things. So in-person surveys are still good. Maybe some of you are thinking that this is the most expensive thing. This is the most complicated thing to do. But to be honest, we have seen very good examples of this. One last thing on this is the whole population point, right? Like typically the surveys we do using phone, we are talking to our own scheme's beneficiaries. But if you want to know what's happening to the excluded people, to the private users, in-person surveys have an important role to play. This is the household survey that was done in one state where 50,000 households were covered, outcomes were measured. Just wanted to say that MOSPI has been doing really commendable efforts to give the enabling environment for this. So the SSS scheme is also a thing that states can pick up and do a great job on, representative household surveys as well. How does it all come together? We would say that it's really important that the data sets come together on the back end along with the administrative data and some analytical capacity which should be in-house. And this is what we usually call decision support systems that we have supported a few governments to. So that's it. That's a quick overview of various ways in which citizen voice can be captured and integrated within your workflows. We are happy to discuss beyond this session your own experiences and learn from you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ganeshji, and the entire CGIS team for that insightful presentation and for bringing forward such a compelling perspective on integrating citizen voice with the governance systems. As we continue this discussion, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, Member, HR Capacity Building Commission, whose work over 40 years with the citizen and citizen centricity and is well known to all. His book, I the Citizen, is a global textbook on how citizen centricity is to be followed in various governance systems. A development scholar, public policy practitioner, and leadership educator, Dr. Balu brings a unique blend of field experience, institutional insight, and thought leadership to the discourse. May I now invite Dr. Balu to share his views and guide us forward.
Thank you, Chandralekha. For a minute, I was wondering whether you will keep continuing. We heard about a data scientist talking about measurements. Now, I'm going to possibly present the other side of the coin. Both sides are important. So let's look at the other side of the coin. I want to talk of just 4 stories. 30 years ago, Government of India constituted a committee. The Karnataka's PCCF and I were asked to evaluate the extraordinary success of the Joint Forest Management Committees of Karnataka. So it was very impressive. I thought, wow, something really happened. And we had a list of committees. Every committee populated the way the government's GO was issued. And the government's GO is issued not based on people, but based on whatever reasons they have, affirmative action including. So me and the PCCF, an extraordinary officer who understood citizen centricity, we chose that time a part of the Western Ghats in Sirsi. And as we walked around, Panchayat to Panchayat, Karnataka was very advanced those days in Panchayat Raj. Now it's gone a lot of regressive steps. So we went Panchayat to Panchayat. Every Panchayat had the 9-member committee constituted. So we were very impressed. And then we went to the names of the people in the committee and asked them, what do you do? What is joint forest management? How do you actually do it? How do you use the community use of fruits and all that? They said, what JFMC? And I'm not exaggerating. None of the people on that list had heard of what a JFMC was. But on paper, it is a perfect citizen-engaged program. And thankfully, somebody in Government of India realized it's so perfect that it can't be true. And they asked for an evaluation. I say this story because what happened was I was a researcher in terms of thinking in research language. I went back and said, what is the root cause of this? Is it just fudging? Is it just numbers? Unfortunately, 15 days earlier, the Chief Minister, then Chief Minister Veerappa Moily, had convened the committee because he said, Government of India is evaluating, I want to know what's happening. And he said, before Government of India's evaluation committee comes, I want all the committees to be formed. And that word goes to the top, to the range forest officer down below. And sitting in his office, he'll call the forest guard and say, which panchayat, what names to write. And they would write what names that was given to them. Some of them were not even there, some of them were dead. Now, that is also one form of citizen engagement, and that is measured. We'll have a perfect scene. That's one story. The second story is a little more interesting. The precursor to the story I'll tell later. And it's a fascinating spectrum I want to put before you. And these spectrums are real, but we are here to change that spectrum. The second story was very interesting. The local SDM, I had, like being a citizen activist, we actually sue the governments, right? And so in one particular situation of rehabilitation of tribals, I had filed a case, we had won. So the forest settlement officer was the SDM, and he had called a meeting, and all the tribals are there. It was about rehabilitating tribals from the Inaugural forest in Karnataka. And they were all talking. He said, we'll give you a house, we're going to give you 5 lakh rupees worth of material, we're going to give you that, we're going to give you this. Everything was done, and he felt very happy. And finally, Bommi, a very elderly Jenukuruba tribal woman, looked at that officer and in her gentle way asked him, sir, all this is okay, but will I continue to collect dry firewood from now on? Now, I'm saying this again because the state has a view of what citizens want. The citizen has a view of what he or she wants. And how do you bridge this gap? Now, let's get into the discussion a little more deeper. I'm going to ask you a few questions to see which part of the spectrum our thinking lies. And since it's a learning opportunity for all of us, including me, let's all be as spontaneous and as genuine and authentic in our answers and not give the politically correct answer. Because the politically correct answer is what is the problem till today. So let's try it out now. The first question I'm going to ask you, and you can all use your phones for this, please scan. The first question I'm going to ask you is very simple. You will have to type when you can. It's about a recent task of yours that directly impacted a person unknown to you completely. Because I take this question because the CAPSEC in his first day's talk said something very wonderful. He said, every file, irrespective of which level you are in, is a person behind it. A live person behind it. And so, there is a person behind it. And all of you have done these jobs, but most of the time we don't connect that because we only see the file. We all subconsciously think we can connect, but I want you to consciously connect now. What is it that you did? If it's your team, you know the person. So you can also try. Behind infrastructure is also a person. There are at least 300, 400 people in this room, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of very rich answers. only 120 have scanned in the room and only 33 have answered. So I think you want citizens to engage. Let's engage with this also. I see an ICMR scientist from the response. And there's so many citizen-centric activities you're listing yourselves, which means we are all, most of the time, citizen-centric. Because we don't call it out, we don't recognize it. Once you call it out, you'll realize how citizen-centric as a government we all are. Let me move on to the next question, because I know I have to keep time in mind. So the next question is a little more easier or difficult. What is one government service that you availed as an Indian citizen recently? Not your institution, not your organization, you as a person. And I can give an example. You know, for whatever reason, the income tax department has got a new AI software which picks up red flags based on variations of your ATRs. Mine fell into that category. And I wasn't sure why. I had stopped teaching at Cornell, so I didn't have that income, maybe picked it up. So I was wondering, why isn't it getting processed? And as usual, we have an IRS officer in our office. I asked her what could be the reason. She said, you have to file a grievance on the income tax portal. Income tax portal's answer was very straightforward. We have time till December 26. Before that, you cannot ask us all these questions. Closed. Then I went back to her and said, what do I do? Ankita is smiling. She said, sir, you should try CP grams. And every time our Honorable Minister comes, he talks so much of CP grams, and I was thinking I should try it out. And I never tried it as a citizen. I put it up, they cut and pasted the same reply that I'd already got from ITO. So, but the story doesn't end here, and that is where the powerfulness of our CP grams comes in. Within a week, I get a call asking if I was satisfied with the answer. And I went to my frustration as a citizen to the guy who called me, maybe some call center assigned by the CP grams, DRPG. And I said, what the hell are you guys looking at? You don't even read an email, you don't read the query, you don't read anything. I had a substantial refund to get also. And he said, can I reinitiate your complaint? And it will be taken very seriously. Exactly within 24 hours, my refund came into my account. Somebody actually looked at it, processed it, and handled it, which means the person behind the file gets noticed. There's a procedure when you're looking at 1.4 billion people. There's a process to make yourself get noticed. And CP grams is an excellent, at least my own personal thing. The second was, we wrote a case study on Rail Madad for the Amrit Gyan Kosh. I was thinking, this is too good to be true. But then we had verified the data, everything, and I was traveling by a Shatabdi train from Mysore to Bangalore, and in the food that I'd ordered, there was fungus in the curds. So I thought, let me try Rail Madad now. You will not believe it. There was no stop in between, but in Bangalore station, a person came to me and actually explained to me, and then 3 days later, I get a letter, what have they acted against that vendor, whoever had supplied it. Now, the citizen is not wanting a punishment against somebody. Citizen just wants to know government responds to you and takes you seriously. Now, these are all stories, but these are citizen voices which can be captured. It doesn't need rocket science. It doesn't need extraordinary technology. It just needs a little more empathy that we're already showing in our work every day. So we'll come back to the slides again. Let's go to the next question. What does government even mean to you? And this is a question that's been surveyed around the world. Most of the countries. How do you define government? You're all government officials. Now, I'm also a government official in a sense, however temporary it is. But how do you define government? Anybody wants to? And I love to listen to your answers. This is not how do you want your government to be. How do you define your government? reached your retirement, and you might ask what kind of a question to ask me. Some of you might just be in the Montessori level, and you might say, I just got into government, I still don't know it enough. Whatever it is, your view on how would you define it, and how do you see government? And we expect citizens to follow everything government says. And I deliberately put 2 to 3 words and keep looking at how many people use how many words. And then we say, citizen, ye log to gareeb hai, unko to malum hi nahi hota hai. I have to teach them everything. Now you're all well-educated people of the government of India, and you can't follow instructions. I'm just throwing it out there so that when you deal with citizens, you will also understand where they come from. We'll see the analysis later. Thank God we have AI today, so we can see the analysis later. I can promise you, my team will get it analyzed and put it out there. So now the next question, how would you define a citizen? Now, this is the most challenging, and that is why anybody can talk on citizen centricity. Because it's so abstract, though we think it's very defined in the Constitution. It's a very complex relationship that the state and the citizen have. And understanding this relationship it's at least been my lifetime passion. And remember, these are your definitions. And nobody will be wrong, I can tell you that also. You will have to be reasonably quick because I have 2 more questions before I really come into a very short presentation. I know you'll find it difficult to read, but we'll aggregate the answers and present it later. I'm waiting for 100 mark to be crossed. Okay, the next question. Like Ganesh was talking about, a reasonable representativeness that is there in this room, a reasonable number as a percentage of the people in the room, and I think we have enough to at least form a pattern. So let's look at the next question. What does citizen centricity mean to you? Because we have been using these words evolve. First we said, all kinds of words have been used. Citizen focused, citizen centric, citizen led. And today we have possibly one of the most complex words used in any countries in India. Jan Bhagidari is not an easy word to unpack. And we have moved into a partnership state where the relationship between the citizen and the state is now being called into focus. And it looks very simple. Bhagidari is partnership. But in practice, how does it look like? So what does citizen centricity mean to you? Many of you today may come from science ministries, but still, you're also citizens. So you can see it as how do you look at the state to be centric towards you? Why do you think it is important? If a mission has been set up, a commission has been set up, and we have dedicated 2 whole days to analyze the tangible outcomes. There must be some reason why the government is so focused on this. And like I written in that article given to you, it's no longer a political imperative, it's become much larger moral and ethical imperative of the state itself, which means it's our job to ensure that we deliver. So why would you think it's important? I like that answer, it's the imperative of the state. Geo issue हो गया तो करना पड़ेगा. So I will have to watch how the AI will understand. So now, you answered. We heard you. Let's look at how we as a room aggregate, because when you measure, and when you measure thousands and thousands and thousands of people, sometimes the answer you hear may not be the answer that needs to be heard also. And therefore, it's extremely difficult to measure citizen-centric. That's a point I want to make. We saw in the earlier presentation an integration of different approaches, tools, all that to get closer to the truth. But I don't think there's any designed methodology which can say this is the truth, because there is a lot of subjective element in the citizen's mind. You're sitting in a car, you get a survey after Ola, you get down from the Ola, was the driver clean? Okay, the car was clean. Very simple questions. The simpler the questions, the stronger the responses. It's easy to say car is clean, but what does clean mean to you and what clean means to me might be different. I might see the previous person's dust from the shoes and I think it's not clean enough. Whereas you might say, I don't see any old eaten Subway wrapper lying out there, so it's okay, it must be clean enough. So we all have different ways of interpreting what questions mean to us. So it's not easy. But then, I was also troubled and said, how do we really know? Because I was challenging myself and saying, am I citizen-centric enough? And government has done a lot, depending on the understanding it had at different points of time. We have had in the health sector, Arogya Raksha Samitis. We have had the village health and sanitation committees. Then we integrated them into the panchayat, added nutrition to it. Sometimes we burden the citizens so much, they are in some committee or the other all the time. And we don't even think that we are burdening them. And we are also in a political economy where the citizen doesn't want to participate, he just wants to receive. And that's a strange equation. We also have a social audit committee in Narega under an act of parliament, where you're suddenly given citizens responsibilities to check, be an ombudsman on the ground, do the ground truthing and tell the state what is happening. So it's a spectrum. And understanding this sometimes takes a little diving not too deep. In the 1960s, and what still is a Bible for me, is a very, very unnoticed paper that was published by an academic called Arnstein. For several of us on the ground, it is possibly the closest description to the practitioner realities. I'm not saying it's a perfect thing. I just want to take a look at this ladder and you will figure out where is your scheme placed in this ladder. And it's important because Jan Bhagidari, I don't know if this can be made bigger. Can it be made? I don't know. Many of us want to use citizens. I have had school headmasters in the SDMC committee is a citizens committee. They will immediately say school day karna chahiye. Kaise karenge, paisa nahi hai, sarkar se paisa nahi aata hai. So we'll call the SDMC meeting now and tell the community you have to prepare lunch. The headmaster will instruct and make the people believe that he'll get the block development officer or he'll get the MLA to attend the function. You can give all your petitions, but you'll have to spend a little on food. We manipulate the committee into participation. That's also citizen centricity. But that's also, you believe that you engage citizens, everybody is happy, the SDMC did the function. But was the SDMC doing the function or were they made to do the function is a question many of us have to ask. And then you also want them to feel they're engaged. Therapy. It's nice. I have to consult. So let's consult. No, I have to talk to KB, I'll talk to KB, and I consulted them. I'll do what I want, but I'll consult them. All of us are like that. It's a therapy, it's a treatment. It's not consciously done many times. In the ground workers are forced to do it. And many of them, because the orders come. I have seen the block development, the WCD's person who is in charge at the taluk level, she calling meetings with Anganwadi workers and saying, you will have to make sure the communities contribute something. And then immediately she'll go and tell them, and if they don't, they'll spend money, buy vegetables, give it to the community and say, give it back. And then she'll write, I got 5 kgs of carrot from here, I got 6 kgs of peas from there. So that is therapy. And then when somebody comes, she'll say, sab log both participate karte hain. They all give vegetables. But that's a reality. So you ask where they are. Informing communities is another way of participation. We'll tell them everything. But that's also citizen centricity, and that's why it's called a ladder. We climb one step at a time, and this is how government has been climbing. But we're reaching the 6th stage, which is itself a high call. We consult. We also look at, we placate them. Something goes wrong. We placate them. We immediately respond to them. Withdrawal of the farm laws is a placation. That's all the citizens. They protested, we responded, we placated them. Is it good for the nation, not good for the nation? That's a separate policy analysis argument. But the reality, partnership is the next step. But then, if you look at the call of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas, Sabka Vishwas, it is at a very high level, higher than partnership even. So the journey for us to have the last step of the ladder is already in front of us. The state has matured that level now. So for me, it's great positive news to hear. The state has matured to this point, and therefore we can deliver. So let's look at how do you measure it then? Because if you don't measure, you'll never know where in the ladder we are. Measurement is not to cast aspersions. Measurement is not to label. Measurement to enable us to go to the next level of the ladder. Like I said, citizen measurement is extremely challenging in governance. I have been, last 5 years, I've been asking people, what does performance mean to you? Everybody. And each person has a very, very, very valid explanation of what performance means to you. Many, many secretaries to government, I ask them, who is your best performer in your ministry? And they'll have a name. And if I ask them, how do you know they're performing? They'll say, mujhe malum hai. No, I deal with them every day. And that's correct, they know. But can they measure and tell me? Like I'm a physician, I know if I check your temperature, if it is 98.6, it's normal. Anything more than that is abnormal, anything less is abnormal. So there's a normativeness defined. Today in the commission, we have a normativeness just put out there for discussion. So each of us can understand it from different ways, but it's very difficult again to measure. And we always have this discussion. The CAPSEC always says the difficulty to measure is the problem. Now, it's not that government is not willing to measure, but it's not an easy instrument to develop. Next slide. Oh, I have it here, sorry. So I'm talking about the art of measurement, not the science of measurement. And I take this from, because we also have we have spent 1/3 of our energies and courses on technical. This fascinating quote, everybody quotes for every sciences, not just for technical things. And it is like two properties of an object cannot be determined with equal precision at the same time. That is the contradiction of citizen centricity. The provider has a view, the recipient has a view. Now, whose view do you want to capture? So we simplified it in the commission, and in our attempt to understand citizen-centric measurements, we are now talking about the supply side, which is more easier. It is not for public consumption, it is for us to make our work better and better and better. So how do we measure? I'll quickly take 2-3 slides through that. And it's important because if you're drawing inspiration from this, this is the highest level where you're not just looking at participation, you're looking at the state constantly serving the person whom you're participating with. And it's not easy. And it's extremely complex because our citizens are not willing to play God. We want to confer divine status on them, but citizens are not willing to have the divine status conferred. So it's a very, very difficult challenge for all of us. It's not easy to unpack. So how do we still do it? Sorry, I pressed the wrong. So we have to define it first. Like 98.6 is normal temperature for a human body. Everywhere in the world I have gone, it says there's a different definition because the context differed. The closest that you can get is measure of from this, I'm talking from the government's perspective. Again, I'm very, very clear, not from a citizen activist perspective. What is doable, what is practicable, what is scalable, what is demonstrable? These are the questions I ask myself. The measure of intent and efforts by a government institution. And like Ganesh already spoke, right from the stage of conceiving, not just at the end, to conceive, design, and implement governance initiatives while endeavoring a maximum citizen satisfaction. That means there's a perception angle to it, and there's a measurement of impact angle to it. Now, a broader definition of citizens, because I asked you who is a citizen, I'll come back and show you how difficult it is to define. All stakeholders, and we'll have to be realistic, because if you don't define this, whom will you get the information from? Again, Ganesh said schemes and programs. That's the reality. So that is a bounded group of people you have. Stakeholders affected by that initiative. So if you're asking somebody about a non-income tax payee about the importance of faceless transaction, obviously you're asking the wrong person. So you'll have to ask the right person the right question. So beneficiaries, residents, service users, taxpayers, investors, all kinds of people we have, vulnerable populations, because you want to serve them, project-affected populations, other stakeholders which you may not even see, and if you don't see, you never measure. So try to spend a lot of time in understanding your stakeholders. Many times what we define in a programmatic booklet might not be 100% captured. There's so many other people who are indirectly benefiting, and we may have to look at that also. The next slide. So we broke it down further. What is measurable? We can measure transparency. We can measure participation. And we need to measure. These are all absolutely need to measure things. We have to measure how to be accountable. And we spoke about accountability. It's very difficult. Accountable to whom? To your department head, to your minister, to the state, to each other, or to citizens. Most of the time, because we don't see citizens in our files, we end up being accountable to our superiors. Now, how do you change the narrative? It's in our hands. How responsive you are. Now, CP Grams calls me, next day I get my refund. I think the government is damn responsive. I'm very impressed as a citizen. And that means the more we impress people with the responsiveness, and today technology enables that. We don't have to wait for something to happen. We can make it happen, and therefore we are responsive. And we have to have the desire to keep improving because citizens' aspirations are dynamic. If we don't keep our tools dynamic, you'll only collect information which was valid 10 years ago. So how do you move with citizen aspirations? It's very easy because you're a citizen. You walk into a government office, you want to be treated properly. You want to be respected. You want to have the solutions in your hands. So what happens by citizen centricity? And this is the combination of Nagrik Devo Bhava, Jan Bhagidari, Sabka Saath. I try to bring all the mandates given to us by the Honorable PM into one measurable instrument. It is about rebalancing power, readjusting the power asymmetries. You can never eliminate power asymmetry. By definition, a state is more powerful. Let's not even fool ourselves. Now, but you can keep working to reduce it. That's what is good governance. You can look at hearing the voice. Antyodaya is not a programmatic detail. It is not about delivering your goods and services to the last person in the last mile. Today, we are able to reach most of India. It's not a geographical understanding. It is much deeper. It's an emotional relationship of the state demonstrating its concern for the socially excluded or economically excluded or even sometimes politically excluded. So how do you get that last person in your mind first? It is not about reducing asymmetries of power. It's about building trust symmetry. It's a very positive action. And one classical example is today, you know, all of us in this room possibly are old enough to remember that when we applied for a government job or a position, we have to get our documents attested. So I still remember my father was a central government employee. And I would say, why don't you sign and put a seal? How will my professor know you're my father? But he was very, in his own mind, ethical. He would go to his office, get somebody there to sign and bring it back. And he used to tell me that, for example, or we get a notary you pay him and they say you're honest. I had a question asked by a lady called Basavi, a Jainakurba woman, when I was asking her to get an Aadhaar card done. She said, they don't believe when I say I'm Basvi. They said the village accountant should come and tell you're Basvi. She said, how does government trust a village accountant but not me? I am Basvi. And she never had a paper in her hands. But she asked, and for her it was an important question. You don't trust me, but you want to trust a village accountant. And she herself said this, he can write any name in the patta when he wants, but he can't, how does he know I'm Basvi? Trust symmetry is what the state is building today. And that's an important distinction for all of us. We are all partners to building trust symmetry. We are not reducing mistrust alone. It is not just changing laws in parliament. It is the way all of us are functioning. The Seva Bhav program, which touched close to 2 million people now, last 3-4 years, enables the trust symmetry. Our digital public infrastructure is a great opportunity for all of us. It is including as many people as possible. And I strongly believe Mission Karmayogi is possibly the best opportunity for all of us to enable the citizen centricity. And that's why we're having this conversation today. Thank you. That really made my day. The next slide. So how do you measure it? We need a framework. We need to define. We need to understand how much of it you want to measure. Perfection can be the enemy of the good. And every time me and our chairperson Radhaji have a discussion, she keeps reminding me, you want to be perfect, I want to be practical. And it's a good balance. And that is the balance which made me think we need to measure something to the extent we can. Don't try to say, I'll measure everything and then, it's an incremental tool. We keep making it better and better and better. We start off somewhere, and at some point of time, we'll be very good. Remember, no nation has done a good job. Whatever we do, I have to stop? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Abhayji is there. Your table is here, Abhay. So we have defined it. We have defined the instruments. We have defined the definitions. The extent to which we'll go. Again, here I want to narrate this example. I had perfection in the tools, some 100 things to be measured. And then when the discussion was happening, Radhaji was telling me, no, as a DM, as a SDM, as a secretary, I know that you can't measure all this. Let's only measure this much and it will capture the entire scenario. And we tried it out, we ground truthed it after doing it. It does capture a substantial amount of information. And we also have our Amrit Gyan Kosh, where we want to tell the country that we are already doing it. Rail Madad is already there. Faceless transactions is already there. Just because we don't call it out doesn't mean we are not doing it. All of us are doing it. And so we said, can we call it out in Amrit Gyan Kosh? Tell the world in an evidential way, which can be verifiable, that we actually have good practices for all this. So it's a combination. So how did it start? The first roundtable we had was in 2023. The CBC had all experts from the nation, from outside. We all sat together, brainstormed what is practical, what is doable, what should be done. Then we tried it out. At that time, Saurav Garg was a secretary, Ministry of Social Justice. We took 3 schemes of theirs and said, can we go back and ground truth it? Does it tell the story correctly? Then we thought, will it work in states? So we tried in Meghalaya. We went and looked at health programs. Because health is very complex. And health, a lot of it is driven by citizen engagement. And if a pregnant woman doesn't come to the hospital to deliver, she's not participating. And if she's encouraged and her participation is enhanced by the ANM or the ASHA worker, it needs to be captured. It worked there too. Then we took the tool and presented to the member governance at Niti Aayog. He had a lot of suggestions. He said, the biggest challenge in government is once we start measuring, we'll start gaming. So he said, can you prevent gaming? And it's a very important input. He had set up a committee of Secretary Mospi, Saurav J. that time at there, me and the DMEO of Niti Aayog, because they are the measuring agency. And we developed the tool, we deliberated, did the field visits. today we have a supply side tool. And let's be very, very, very clear. This is not a naming and shaming tool. This is a tool to help us say, if I'm at stage 1, how do I go to stage 2? How do I go to stage 3? It's like our accreditation framework. We learned a lot from our own accreditation framework. It's about hand-holding somebody to become better. And we checked even the small variations, 80 to 90% can be done because everybody wants to do it. It's not as though nobody wants to do it. So it will get done. I'm very confident any program that we pass through, every secretary will say, I'll do the next step. Next slide. So the tool measures supply side of governance from 5 pillars. I won't get into it because I have to wrap up in a quick time. So it measures all these 5 things, like I said, transparency, participation, all those things, the implementation. And now we are adding an AI-based thing which will do sentiment analysis of documents uploaded, everything that can be done. And we will be able to actually get a score from 0 to 1. So we are very clear. The measurement tool can't be gamed because you must earn your claims. You can't make your claims. The AI will expose it out. That's the advantage of AI and sentiment analysis and all that we can do. It does not boost scores. The more documents you add, it only validates your score. It will not make from 3 to 4 just because you're doing more. So we have taken care of that also. It is very clear because the government is so wide. It's doing so much. It has to meet so many different schemes. We decided to be broader than wider. So it can do Poshan, it can do Narega, it can do something else. It can do railways, it can do everything. Postal Department, Dak Sevaks work, it can measure all that. And the signals which come independently validated through cross-questioning will clearly bring out intent. So the intent matters for citizen centricity. We are clear that we want to standardize, and if Radha permits me to say this, standardization is her way of looking at it. Sophistication is my way of looking at it. Perfection, everything should be perfect, but let's standardize first, let's roll it out, and then we'll keep increasing the sophistication. That is where we have positioned this. And the scoring is very conservative. We are very clear because it's a trial we are doing now. We don't want to, like exactly what we learned from accreditation. We started off very conservatively, then we realized we can open it up a little more. Now we have opened it up. We are very clear again, it's comparability between schemes for the secretaries, not perfection, not measuring the perfect context, because that context can't be defined. And it'll evolve through usage. That's the advantage of AI, because it'll keep learning, it'll make the tool itself better, not just information reports better. And, the way forward. Within a month or 2, we'll have the AI tool. We'll be testing it out again for some time, then it will be made available. We are hoping that we can have it on Karmayogi Portal. People can just pass it through their programs. They'll get a dashboard report where the programs are, and the secretaries can use it the way they want. And for us, that's going to happen soon. What we want it to do, it's designed to be self-assessment. Let's not forget it. It's designed to be a diagnostic tool. In 5 areas, it will show where you can be better. It's supposed to be a planning instrument. When you're changing the schemes, when you go to the EFC again, because the CAPSEC is encouraging us to make it part of the EFC process, where you'll have to pass the scheme through this tool in anticipation and then tell us where you're scoring. And all this can actually tell a lot of stories. Now, I want to end with, I just want to ask one question. All of you have seen Dhurandhar 2. Many of you. And I just want to hear what you think of it. So if Chavi had time to see it, then we all have to worry, because she's hardly had any time. Likhna hai? No, you answer. Don't answer me orally. Mentimeter में लिखना पड़ेगा. इतना आसान नहीं है. बोलने से खत्म नहीं होगा. All those who watched, I know that all of you might not have watched. 201. See now, just imagine. See patterns. Dhurandhar question gets 201 people scanning Mentimeter. All other questions got far less. I'll just leave it to you. Huh? No judgment. I'm just, because data is very deceiving. It's too little to judge. But just say patterns. That's all. Something exciting will participate. Something enforced we will not. That's all it says. So make it exciting for citizens. We'll wait for 100 for this also. As you're answering, I want to complete the second half of the story. Citizen centricity is not new, and I want to narrate the DM of my district, who recently retired from Government of India as secretary. One of the finest human beings I have worked with. When he was DM, one department hated me, rest of government loved me. And if you're living beside the forest, you know which department will hate me. But I had filed the case against them. I had filed atrocity act, a lot of things I had done. And I also had used the instruments of the state to fight the state. But a lot of problems started emerging, and what the DM did was write a 22-page report to government as a district magistrate of the challenges that his district was facing and how it is going to suddenly explode into a law and order problem, and the state can't manage it after that. Elections were approaching. As DM, he had to report it. And nothing happened. But I had filed the case in Human Rights Commission, in SC Commission, all those commissions. Those days, SC Commission was the same as ST Commission also. It was not separate. But he told me in frustration one day, and no RTI those days, only Official Secrets Act, a very responsible young IAS officer. He told me, Dr. Balu, I cannot help you anymore. I have done what I can, but this I can do. Justice Verma was the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission. You say, in private, tell Justice Verma to summon me, the DM, and ask me to, he gave me a Xerox copy of his report, show it to him, but it can't be part of the evidence because it's not official. Ask him to summon me and I will testify. He testified. He could have lost his job. He was a 25-year-old young officer. We won the case because of that. The state had to rehabilitate, release 500 acres of land. So one man, and I asked him, why did he do it? He said, I didn't do it for Dr. Balu. I saw 154 tribal families behind what I did, and that's why I did. Now, these are not people whom we have to train specially. Every one of you has that. Our challenge in commission is to make sure you keep having that till you retire or even beyond. So measurement is not something scary. Measurement is the way we can tell the world we have it. And the time has come for us to do it now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balu. Citizen, Jan Bhagidari, partnership, the jury may still be out on definitions. However, citizen-centric, data-driven governance systems is the need of the hour. This is a very important conclusion of today's session. A big thanks again to Dr. Balu and the CGIS team. Once again, thank you so much.
We have slides to show what they're waiting for. How did they answer as a group?
Yes, those slides where you all answered, and Dhurandhar, to my surprise, got the least answers. But, okay. So those answers will also be seen to you. But thank you again very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm looking for the AI to finish its job. Sakshi, ho gaya? Dikha dijiye. I think if you can watch the slides, we're just showing the AI interpretation. Can you make it bigger, Sakshi? What is the interpretation? नहीं तो वहाँ से बोलना पड़ेगा. It's not doing it? Okay, I think by the time the team figures out, we may have the minister coming, so we'll have to. Okay. For which question is this? Question bhi dikhana padega na? Share a recent task of yours that directly impacted a person unknown to you. You know your Prime Minister, you know your team, but most of you have answered that. Assignment of work for a recent project across the organization, internship candidate selection, state public servants. Those two I agree. In the training world, you said supported for nomination of training, connected on one ministry to SME for course development. We'll just go to the next question. And it's very strange that two of you responded to vendors, and it's very important. They're also a stakeholder. But I'm glad you thought about it. What do you think of government and what do you think of being a citizen? Huh? He's come? Okay. So by the time you come back from tea, we'll have it analyzed and put together. We will now have... Huh? No break, is it? There's no break or? Okay, I'm not responsible for that, not having tea break. So they have this Khet ke liye rukawat hai, na, and then do something in between. It's not like that. I think the ministers are arriving early, so we have... Good for me because I have a flight to catch also. So Sakshi tried to put an analysis and put it in slides so that by the end of the session we can show. If there are any quick burning questions you want to ask, okay, anytime the minister will enter before that. आपको ऊपर आना पड़ेगा.
Sir, there is a question.
Yeah. I'm not able to see where the...
Yes,
oh, sorry, yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. It was
Can you
very
please
interesting.
closer to the mic so everybody can hear? Yeah.
So I think it's loud.
Yeah. It's on.
So, sir, it was very interesting, and it was, I mean, one of the course on the IGOT portal that hurt in governance. So we are very much enthused with the all the IGOT is doing. Now I have a question on governance.
Okay, okay. Our secretary says there's a 15-minute gap. I'm sorry, I'll take your question outside.
Okay, okay.
Tea is ready. Please join for tea, yeah.
Please come back by 12:30 because Honorable MOC will be reaching in 12:30. Thank you. And tea is at ground floor.
Requesting everyone to kindly be back by 12:25 before the Honorable Minister arrives so that we can start the event in time. Oh, ma'am.
हाँ हम लोग 2:30 बजे आएंगे, ठीक है? ठीक है, हाँ 2:30 बजे आएंगे। मैं थोड़ा एक इवेंट के बीच में हूँ, चलेगा? मैं आपको फिर 1.5 घंटे में करूँ। हेलो मरियंका, कैसा रहेगा?
हाँ जी सर।
यू स्टैंड विदाउट इट।
हाँ जी।
हाँ बताओ ना।
Perfect.
ये ठीक है ना?
हाँ जी आप
तो हम पहले वाला शुरू कर देते हैं, पहले वाला।
Requesting everyone to kindly be seated. We are just about to begin the event.
पहला वाला शुरू कर देता हूँ। वो जो पहले लिखा था ये प्री अराइवल कर लो। मैम को पूछना एक बार। हाँ चलो करो। हाँ शुरू करो। हाँ करेक्ट शुरू करो, ये वाला क्वेश्चन शुरू करो, फिर ये मैं बोलूँगा।
I welcome distinguished guests again to this Sadhana Saptah 2026, which brings together ministries, states, union territories, training institutions under a shared resolve, Hum Bane Karmayogi. We will begin the event shortly. I request everyone to kindly just be seated. Organized by Capacity Building Commission in Karmayogi, Bharat. We also mark 5 years of Mission Karmayogi and our journey towards more citizen-centric governance.
ठीक है, नहीं छोड़ दो। इस सभागार में उपस्थित भारत सरकार के समस्त अधिकारीगण, देश भर से पधारे हुए और वर्चुअल मोड द्वारा भी इस कार्यक्रम से जुड़े हमारे सभी लोक सेवकों का कर्मयोगी साधना सप्ताह के चौथे दिन इस विशेष सत्र में हार्दिक स्वागत है। इस सत्र के दौरान वैज्ञानिक समुदाय में प्रशासनिक नेतृत्व क्षमता को सुदृढ़ करने, प्रशासनिक संस्थानों के संस्थानक मानकों यानी इंस्टीट्यूशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स को और सशक्त करने तथा नागरिक केंद्रित शासन यानी सिटीजन सेंट्रिक गवर्नेंस को दृष्टिकोण को प्रोत्साहित करने पर विशेष बल दिया गया है। क्षमता विकास आयोग और कर्मयोगी भारत की ओर से हार्दिक स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन। ठीक है, मेक सेंस। तो जब सब लोग आ जाएंगे, जब सब आ जाएंगे तो फिर मैं आ जाऊंगा।
Distinguished guests, as we are gearing to prepare and welcome the Honorable Minister, may I please have all of your attention. We are honored to welcome the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, sir. Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Minister of State for Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Minister of State in the Department of Atomic Energy, and Department of Space. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome the Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, sir. Sir, your presence today reflects the government's deep commitment to building a future-ready, citizen-centric civil services rooted in Seva Bhav. I welcome you again, sir. We are extremely honored by the presence of Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Shri Abhay Karandikar, sir. Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, sir. Padma Shri Awardee, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, sir. We are also honored to have with us the CBC leadership and Karmayogi Bharat, Srimati S. Radha Chauhan, ma'am, Chairperson, Capacity Building Commission, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, sir, Member HR, CBC, Dr. Alka Mittal, ma'am, Member Administration, and Chavi Bhardwaj, ma'am, CEO, Karmayogi Bharat, and Shri Jagdeep Gupta, sir, Secretary, Capacity Building Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, please a huge round of applause for our distinguished guests here.
To mark this occasion, may I now request our respected Chairperson, Capacity Building Commission, Ms. S. Radha Chauhan, ma'am, to kindly present a token of welcome to the Honorable MOS, Dr. Jitendra Singh, sir. I would request Secretary of Ministry of Earth Sciences, sir. So kindly join on the stage, on the dais. I would now request respected Member HR, Capacity Building Commission, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, sir, to kindly present a token of regard to Padma Shri Professor Ashutosh Sharma, sir. A huge round of applause, please. Welcome, sir. I humbly request respected Member Administration, CBC, Dr. Alka Mittal, ma'am, to kindly welcome the Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Shri Abhay Karandikar, sir, with a token of regard. I request Secretary CBC, Shri Jagdeep Gupta, sir, to kindly present a token of regard to Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, sir. I would request Secretary CBC, Shri Jagdeep Gupta, sir, to kindly felicitate Secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences, sir. Thank you, sir. आइए हम सब मिलकर इस कर्मयोगी साधना सप्ताह के सफर को आगे बढ़ाएं। मैं माननीय मंत्री महोदय एवं मंचासीन सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों से निवेदन करूंगा कि वे दीप प्रज्वलन के साथ इस अवसर का औपचारिक शुभारंभ करें। Sirs and madam.
Thank you, sir and ma'am. Now we move on to the next segment, which is the Karmayogi Gaan, launched on 2nd April by Dr. P.K. Mishra, sir. We will now present the Karmayogi Gaan, an ode to dedication, duty and nation building. It reflects the spirit of Mission Karmayogi, selfless service and commitment to public excellence. Requesting to kindly play the Karmayogi Gaan, please.
मैं जब सक्षम होती हूँ, सशक्त हो जाती हूँ मैं जब सक्षम होता हूँ, सशक्त हो जाता हूँ मैं हर एक परिस्थिति को संतुलित भाव से निभा जाता हूँ मैं कर्मचारी से कर्मयोगी हो जाता हूँ यही मेरा उद्देश्य, यही मेरा विश्वास, क्षमता से विकास यही है प्रयास कर्मठ बनूं, सक्षम बनूं, सशक्त बनूं, सेवक बनूं कर्मयोगी कर्मठ बनूं, सक्षम बनूं, सशक्त बनूं, सेवक बनूं कर्मयोगी भाग्यशाली हूँ कि पाया ये अवसर संपूर्ण निष्ठा से निभाऊं इसे मैं देश का हर क्षेत्र है मेरा कार्य क्षेत्र इस भाव को अपनाऊं मैं पहुँचूं हर नागरिक तक कर्मठ बनूं, सक्षम बनूं, सशक्त बनूं, सेवक बनूं कर्मयोगी कर्मठ बनूं, सक्षम बनूं, सशक्त बनूं, सेवक बनूं कर्मयोगी हम जब में से हम हो जाते हैं मेरे प्रयास हमारे प्रयास हो जाते हैं कर्मचारी से कर्मयोगी हो जाते हैं हम सक्षम बने, सशक्त बने, सेवक बने हम बने कर्मयोगी हम सक्षम बने, सशक्त बने, सेवक बने हम बने कर्मयोगी
Thank you. We move on to the next segment.
Navneet is there.
Right.
You can stand up.
Yeah. Navneet Kaur ma'am, Director's Capacity Building Commission, who has relentlessly worked for this song. So yeah, ma'am is there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. As Mission Karmayogi completes 5 years and enters into the next phase of transformation, let us reflect on the journey so far. May I please request to play a very short film?
विकसित भारत की ओर बढ़ते हमारे देश की प्रगति केवल नीतियों पर नहीं बल्कि उन कर्मियों पर निर्भर करती है जो उन्हें जमीन पर उतारते हैं, जो जिम्मेदारी को केवल कर्तव्य नहीं बल्कि सेवा मानते हैं। यही भावना है कर्मयोगी की भावना। इसी भावना के साथ शुरू हुआ मिशन कर्मयोगी और वर्ष 2021 में क्षमता विकास आयोग की स्थापना की गई। मिशन कर्मयोगी के प्रथम चरण में कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के एक नए अध्याय की शुरुआत हुई, जिसका आधार रूल नहीं बल्कि रोल था। केंद्र सरकार के सभी मंत्रालयों, विभागों तथा संस्थाओं के लिए कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्लान बनाए गए। आज आई-गॉट द्वारा विकसित AI एनेबल्ड टूल द्वारा 36 राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों में कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्लान्स तैयार किए जा चुके हैं, जिससे पहले की अपेक्षा बेहद कम समय लगता है। दुनिया का पहला पब्लिक HR कॉम्पिटेंसी मॉडल कर्मयोगी कॉम्पिटेंसी मॉडल बनाया गया। देश भर में अब तक 200 से अधिक प्रशिक्षण संस्थानों को सीबीसी द्वारा बनाए गए राष्ट्रीय मानकों के अंतर्गत एक्रेडिटेशन दी जा चुकी है। एक सशक्त कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग इकोसिस्टम तैयार करने के लिए देश के सभी ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को इस मिशन से जोड़ा जा रहा है। इसके लिए एक रिवैम्प्ड एंड-टू-एंड पोर्टल बनाया जा रहा है। प्रशिक्षकों के लिए चलाए जा रहे फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस को सशक्त किया जा रहा है। आई गॉट कर्मयोगी प्लेटफॉर्म 1.5 करोड़ से अधिक लर्नर्स को जोड़ चुका है। 7.6 करोड़ से अधिक कोर्स पूरे किए जा चुके हैं। विभिन्न विषयों पर 4,400 से अधिक कोर्स उपलब्ध हैं। राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों के लगभग 1 करोड़ अधिकारी आई गॉट प्लेटफॉर्म से जुड़ चुके हैं। यहाँ 23 भाषाओं में कोर्सेज उपलब्ध हैं और 500 से अधिक कोर्स क्षेत्रीय भाषाओं में हैं। मिशन कर्मयोगी द्वारा अन्य कई इनिशिएटिव लिए गए हैं जो पब्लिक ऑफिशियल्स को नागरिकों के प्रति सेवा भाव की दृष्टि से कार्य करने के लिए सशक्त करते हैं। इस दिशा में सीबीसी द्वारा राष्ट्रीय कर्मयोगी जन सेवा प्रोग्राम चलाया जा रहा है जो ऑफिशियल्स को सेवा भाव के दृष्टिकोण से बिहेवियरल ट्रेनिंग देता है। इस कार्यक्रम में 10.7 लाख से भी ज्यादा ऑफिशियल्स को प्रशिक्षण दिया जा चुका है। राष्ट्रीय कर्मयोगी जन सेवा प्रोग्राम को ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स के सहयोग से पूरे देश में पहुंचाया जा रहा है। मुख्य रूप से उन कर्मियों तक पहुंचने का लक्ष्य है जो जमीनी स्तर पर नागरिक सेवा में कार्यरत हैं। सीबीसी द्वारा कई अन्य महत्वपूर्ण इनिशिएटिव्स लिए गए हैं। अमृत ज्ञान कोश के माध्यम से भारत की प्रशासनिक व्यवस्था पर आधारित केस स्टडीज को साझा किया जा रहा है ताकि हर कर्मयोगी एक दूसरे के अनुभवों से सीख सके। इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम्स की समृद्ध परंपरा को आधुनिक प्रशिक्षण से जोड़ा जा रहा है ताकि हमारी जड़ों से जुड़ा ज्ञान आज के प्रशासन को और अधिक संवेदनशील और सशक्त बना सके। स्थानीय शासन को भी सशक्त बनाने के लिए सीबीसी द्वारा पहल की गई है। विकसित पंचायत पहल ऐसा ही एक कार्यक्रम है जिसका उद्देश्य पंचायती राज संस्थानों का सुदृढ़ीकरण करना है। अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज के कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के लिए भी क्षमता विकास आयोग ने पहल की है। अब हम मिशन कर्मयोगी के नए चरण में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं। आज मिशन कर्मयोगी देश के हर कोने तक पहुंच रहा है। आज भारत विकसित भारत 2047 के लक्ष्य की ओर तेजी से बढ़ रहा है और मिशन कर्मयोगी इस दिशा में निरंतर कार्यरत है। साधना सप्ताह राष्ट्र निर्माण के संकल्प को पुनः दोहराने का, एक दूसरे के साथ जुड़कर सीखने का, लोक सेवा में अपने योगदान को ध्यान में रखते हुए कार्यों को उत्साह पूर्वक करने का एक महत्वपूर्ण अवसर है। आइए हम सब मिलकर एक सक्षम और संवेदनशील प्रशासन के साथ भारत को आगे बढ़ाएं। हम बने कर्मयोगी।
Thank you so much. Moving on, we are now very privileged to invite Srimati Radha Chauhan ma'am, Chairperson Capacity Building Commission, the guiding force behind this Saptah, to deliver her address. Over to you, ma'am.
नमस्कार। माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, डॉक्टर आशुतोष शर्मा, डॉक्टर अभय करांदेकर, श्री राजेश गोखले जी, Secretary Earth Sciences, my colleague members of the Commission, many representatives from the training institutions, science and technology experts, professionals, invitees, guests, ladies and gentlemen. आज के इस विशेष कार्यक्रम जो साधना सप्ताह के अंतर्गत मनाया जा रहा है, उसमें अभी आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग कमीशन व कर्मयोगी भारत के टीम के माध्यम से। आज का एक विशेष कार्यक्रम है जिसमें हम 5 वर्ष का मिशन कर्मयोगी के साथ साथ कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग कमीशन के स्थापना का भी 5 वर्ष मना रहे हैं। इसमें हमारे मंत्री जी का बहुत बड़ा एक भूमिका रही है, क्योंकि सर ने इंसेप्शन स्टेज ऑफ दिस मिशन, द टाइम एट विच इट वाज बीइंग कंसीव्ड, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी द्वारा जिस लक्ष्य के साथ, उद्देश्य के साथ इस पूरे मिशन का परिकल्पना किया गया, सर उस समय से इस मिशन के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, इसका मार्गदर्शन हमें समय समय पर देते रहे हैं, और आज हम जिस स्थिति में हैं, जिस उल्लास के साथ, उत्साह के साथ अपने उपलब्धियों को हम गिन रहे हैं, इसका बहुत बड़ा श्रेय सर आपके लीडरशिप, गाइडेंस का हमेशा हम आपके साथ रहा है। और आज भी सर का इसमें उसी स्पिरिट के साथ, उसी एनर्जी के साथ एंगेजमेंट रहा है। और सर मैं आपका विशेष रूप से आभार व हार्दिक स्वागत इसलिए भी करना चाहती हूँ कि मैं पर्सनली जानती हूँ कि आप इस टाइम पे कितने व्यस्त हैं। आपके इतने, अभी बल्कि हम लोग नीचे बैठे थे चाय पीने के लिए, और हमें बताया गया कि पंकज बता रहे थे कि सर को अभी 5 मीटिंग्स 2-2 दिन में करने हैं और वेस्ट बंगाल में भी जाके करना है। सो आई थिंक वन ऑफ अस रिमार्क्ड कि ये बहुत हेवी है, तो पंकज से नहीं, पहले 6 था, अब 5 हो गया। So sir, we are aware how pressed you are for time, but your presence amongst us here gives us a lot of encouragement and energy to pursue this path on which we started 5 years back under your guidance and leadership, and your guidance still may be more needed now that there are more expected out of this mission than we have so far achieved. आज के भी इस कार्यक्रम में सर साधना सप्ताह हमने 2 तारीख को प्रारंभ किया था, और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी हम सभी को अपना आशीर्वचन दिया था, और उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी, डायनामिसिटी ऑफ कैपेसिटीज, कैपेबिलिटीज, उस सब की ओर उन्होंने इंगित किया, जो हमेशा का हम लोगों का एक फोकस एरिया रहा है। मैं विशेष रूप से उल्लेख करना चाहूँगी साधना का जो एक्रोनिम है, उसमें एक शब्द है अडैप्टिव और एक और शब्द है ह्यूमेन। मेरे विचार में ये 2 उस पूरे मिशन को आगे के तारीख में हमें किस तरह से चलाना है उसको कैप्चर करता है। अडैप्टिव इन द एज ऑफ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस नो मोर इज एन ऑप्शन। ईच वन ऑफ अस will have to be adaptive in whatever we do, in whatever space we work in, because of the diffusion of the AI that's going to happen or has already happened. Sir?
नहीं, वो आपने आदत डाल दी ना आपने सुझाव देने की।
Sir.
मैंने कहा ये कैपिटल में होना चाहिए।
अच्छा सर।
Next time we get it.
Certainly, sir. And the humane part of it, I think the most important part that came out of the Honorable PM's address also was the human capacities and capabilities that we need to bring in when we have citizen centricity as one of our priorities and delivery of good services to the citizens of this country. Needs for us to be more humane in whatever we deliver. Oh, humane is what captures the whole spirit of being a Karmayogi. और मैं ये बात अभी विशेष रूप से इसलिए उल्लेख करना चाहूँगी कि हमने सोचा ही नहीं, पर माननीय मंत्री जी ने जब इस गाने को सुना, उन्होंने कहा ये किसने लिखा? तो फिर मैंने कहा हमारे ही लोगों ने लिखा। फिर उन्होंने कहा नहीं, किसी का नाम तो होगा, किसी ने तो लिखा होगा इसको। फिर मैंने कहा हाँ शायद सर नवनीत ने ही लिखा है इसको। देन ही प्रॉडेड मी, ही मेड मी से इट कि नहीं, आपके एक टीम मेंबर ने इसको लिखा है तो आप एक्नॉलेज करिए और उसका नाम लेके उसको अपलोड करिए। आई थिंक दैट्स अ साइन ऑफ अ वेरी ह्यूमेन लीडरशिप, somebody who is putting that which I missed out. I think सर वो भी आपका मैं सीख ही रही हूँ। तो yes, I had to be forced by the minister to acknowledge कि आपके एक टीम मेंबर ने अगर इतना अच्छा काम किया है तो आपको उसको बताना चाहिए। I think that is also a leadership, that's also a team building, that's also something that we are looking at when we talk about this whole mission. आपने सुना है हम लोगों ने कितना उपलब्धियां इस मिशन के अंतर्गत पहुंचाया है। अब नंबर के आगे हमें सोचना पड़ेगा कि हम इस नंबर के गेम से नंबर आ गए हैं, नंबर बहुत ज़रूरी है। और इस साधना सप्ताह के दौरान सर आपको बताना चाहूँगी कि बहुत सारे स्टेट्स ने बहुत बढ़ चढ़कर इस बार इस पूरे साधना सप्ताह के स्पिरिट में हमारे साथ कोलैबोरेट किया है। एंड आई थिंक छवि इज हियर, हर प्लेटफॉर्म इज ऑलमोस्ट रिकॉर्डिंग ट्रैफिक of the numbers that we have not seen before, and the course is being completed. So learning में कोई कमी नहीं है, जिस तरह के हम capacities build करना चाहते हैं उसको adapt करने में कोई कमी नहीं है। इसलिए मिशन कर्मयोगी के आज के हमारे challenges यही हैं कि हम अपने services को, अपने training institutions को, capabilities को किस तरह से हमारे public servants तक पहुंचाया जाए। इसी क्रम में आज के जो लॉन्चेस आपके सामने रखा जाएगा, ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस का किस तरह से रैशनल यूटिलाइजेशन, कोलैबोरेशन, पूलिंग ऑफ रिसोर्सेज बनाया जाए, ये भी माननीय मंत्री जी की एक प्रायोरिटी रही है। उन्नति पोर्टल का जब लॉन्च होगा आप देखेंगे किस तरह से हमारा एक प्रयास, एक पहल है कि पूरे हमारे 350 तो मेन इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, लगभग 900 से अधिक हमारे ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस के रिसोर्सेज को किस तरह से पूल करके एक ऑप्टिमली यूजेबल रिसोर्स बनाया जाए, ताकि कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग में एक स्केलिंग अप हो और न केवल ग्रुप ए और बी के बल्कि सी एंड डी हमारे कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल वर्कर्स, इन सभी के डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन ऑफ लर्निंग किस तरह से करें, उसके और एक हमारा पहला कदम होगा, बल्कि सेकेंड कदम होगा क्योंकि ये सेकेंड वर्जन है हमारा। इसी क्रम में जो साइंटिस्ट, जो स्पेशलिस्ट प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, उनको गवर्नेंस के स्ट्रक्चर में किस तरह की कैपेसिटीज चाहिए, ये माननीय मंत्री जी का एक बहुत बड़ा एरिया ऑफ फोकस रहा है और वो बार बार हमें इस ओर ध्यान दिलाते रहे हैं। तो सर आज आप ही के हाथ से ये लॉन्च होने वाला है एंड आई थिंक दिस इज़ अ वेरी वेरी key and significant initiative in building capacities for scientist professionals who come into the mainstream of governance. So that therefore the challenges they face in understanding the basic systems, protocols, procedures, all of that gets, and also the leadership that is required in a general governance ecosystem, that also is something that we aim to build and provide continuously, and this is just the beginning and we hope that it evolves as it goes along. और इसमें भी मैं सर के कहने जो आज की सीख है उसमें मैं चंद्रलेखा का नाम ज़रूर लूँगी. She led the team that worked along with the INSA team to create this whole course, and I hope it sets the ball in motion in creating more such courses for the professionals who come in and play a role. From a rule to role-based movement is this course, beginning of this course. इसी के साथ आप सभी का पुनः स्वागत करते हुए आज आप यहाँ पे संडे के दिन इतने संख्या में बिना हमारे बहुत प्रयास किए आप सब यहाँ पे हैं, इससे हमें और ऊर्जा मिलती है, शक्ति मिलती है और ये एहसास होता है कि पूरा देश इस मिशन कर्मयोगी के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है और हम जुड़ते जुड़ते इसको आगे अपने लक्ष्य की तरफ, विकसित भारत की तरफ पहुँचाने में ज़रूर सफल रहेंगे. धन्यवाद.
आपके इस आरंभिक संबोधन के लिए सादर धन्यवाद मैम. सम्मानित उपस्थित जनों, अब हम इस कार्यक्रम के एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण क्षण पर पहुंच चुके हैं. मिशन कर्मयोगी के अंतर्गत प्रमुख पहलों के शुभारंभ के. आज के ये शुभारंभ विकसित भारत के राष्ट्रीय संकल्प को अभिव्यक्त करते हैं. वैज्ञानिक नेतृत्व को सुदृढ़ करने, प्रशिक्षण संस्थानों को सशक्त करने, सेवा भाव को व्यापक स्तर पर आत्मसात करने और एविडेंस बेस्ड गवर्नेंस के लिए नॉलेज पार्टनरशिप्स को विस्तार देने की दिशा में हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आज माननीय मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह सर के कर कमलों द्वारा इन प्रभावशाली पहलों का शुभारंभ होने जा रहा है. इसके लिए सबसे पहले मैं सीबीसी की प्रिंसिपल एडवाइजर डॉक्टर चंद्रलेखा मैम से निवेदन करूंगा कि वे हमारे देश के वैज्ञानिकों के प्रशासनिक क्षमता विकास कार्यक्रम के बारे में इस सभा को अवगत कराएं. मैम.
Thank you, Rajat. Namaskar. Domain experts, particularly scientists and technical leaders today, are not only expected to drive scientific excellence, but also to serve as institutional leaders, policy advisors, and decision-making within the governance ecosystem. This transition brings with it a critical challenge that we describe as a dual identity, a shift from being a domain specialist to becoming a public administrator responsible for governance, financial stewardship, accountability, and national outcomes. It is in recognition of this need, which has been often brought out by Hon'ble Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, that the Capacity Building Commission, under the stewardship of its chairperson, Ms. Radha Chauhan ji, has conceptualized this program through extensive consultations with both internal experts from CBC and some of the country's most distinguished scientists and administrative leaders, including those from INSA. डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी से प्रेरणा लेके कुछ नामों का उल्लेख करना मैं ज़रूरी समझती हूँ। इंडियन नेशनल साइंटिफिक एकेडमी इंसा जो हमारे कोलैबोरेटर थे, उनके प्रोफेसर अशोक मांडे जी, डॉक्टर ब्रजेश पांडे जी. Within CBC, we have benefited from the guidance of Dr. Balasubramaniam, member HR of CBC. Valuable guidance has been provided by Dr. Alka Mittal and Ms. S. Uma, Pillar Head Quality Improvement at CBC. Dr. Sailesh Tripathi ji, Director NIAS, has provided detailed inputs and institutional support as well as INSA. INSA में स्पेशली जिक्र करना चाहूँगी उनके लीड्स प्रोग्राम का, जहाँ से हम लोगों ने बहुत सारे तथ्य लिए और बहुत सारे इनपुट्स लिए. Our chairperson, Ms. Radha Chauhan, has been the driving force of our team, especially Urvashi and Rajat. The practitioner-led interactive space, which we hope we have brought out and designed in the program, is hopefully a useful place for all the scientists who are now going to become bureaucrats and follow a dual role. A space where participants can openly reflect on their transition, discuss their apprehensions, and engage with real administrative scenarios through case-based experiential learning. The objective is clear: to enable domain experts to confidently step into administrative leadership and to evolve into institutional leaders of the future. Thank you. Namaskar.
धन्यवाद मैम. अब मैं आदरपूर्वक हमारे मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह सर से अनुनय करता हूं कि वे अपने शुभ कर कमलों के से रिमोट का बटन दबाकर एक लघु फिल्म के माध्यम से शुभारंभ करने की कृपा करें.
As India progresses towards the vision of Viksit Bharat at 2047, science and technology plays a very pivotal role in driving national transformation and global leadership. Today, as scientists increasingly function as institutional leaders, strategic advisors, and custodians of public trust, engaging with finance, administration, policy, and diverse stakeholders, there is a clear need to make this transition more systematic, deliberate, and future-ready. In this context, a 3-day capacity building program has been designed by the Capacity Building Commission, focusing on scientists at the D, E, and F levels who are on the cusp of leadership roles, with the objective of creating a prepared pool of scientific leaders equipped with the knowledge, skills, and mindset required for effective governance, so that their transition into leadership positions is smooth, confident, and impactful. The program is structured as an intensive experiential learning journey, combining case-based and simulation-driven learning, peer reflection, and alignment of institutional roles with national priorities, while emphasizing integrity, accountability, financial management, and transparency in decision-making. Ultimately, the program aims to move from individual success stories to a systematically prepared generation of leaders who can combine scientific expertise with administrative excellence. And through the guiding vision of Mission Karmayogi and the spirit of Sadhana Saptah, this effort reflects a collective commitment to advancing from Kshamta to Vikas in the journey towards a truly Viksit Bharat.
बहुत बहुत आभार सर, आपका इस अनूठी पहल का शुभारंभ करने के लिए। अब मैं सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं आईकेयर के वाइस चेयरमैन डॉक्टर कार्तिक श्रीधर को कि वे उन्नति पोर्टल के विषय में हमें संक्षेप में जानकारी दें।
Thank you, Rajat. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. I seek refuge in wisdom. I seek refuge in purpose. I seek refuge in community. These three ancient declarations, spoken for over 2,500 years, carry within them the most modern of ideas. That no one grows alone, that wisdom shared multiplies, that the strength of a community is always greater than the sum of its parts. Hon'ble Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Chairperson Srimati Radha Chauhan ji, distinguished guests on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. 5 years of Mission Karmayogi have shown us what becomes possible when a nation decides to invest not just in systems, but in people. Today, that investment takes its most powerful form yet. Unnati. It brings together hundreds of training institutions, thousands of faculty, lakhs of Karmayogi into one living, connected national ecosystem. For the first time, a course built in Chennai can be learnt in Chandigarh. An expert in Mussoorie can guide an officer in Mizoram. An auditorium in Delhi can serve an institution in Patna. Shared resources, shared wisdom, shared purpose. And that is Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. Just days ago, at the inaugural Karmayogi Sadhana Saptah, Hon'ble Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji said, and I quote, "The best administrators and public servants will now be those who understand technology and data. This will form the basis of decision making," unquote. Unnati, ladies and gentlemen, is that understanding made into a platform. Unnati, ladies and gentlemen, is that vision made into reality. And Unnati, ladies and gentlemen, is the Honorable Prime Minister's call to action answered by Mission Karmayogi Capacity Building Commission. We invite you today to the release of Unnati, and with it, a new chapter in India's journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Because when every Karmayogi is empowered, every citizen is served. And when every citizen is served, Nagarik Devo Bhava is not just a mantra. It becomes the lived truth of this nation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर श्रीधर। मैं आग्रह करूंगा माननीय मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह सर से कि वे उन्नति पोर्टल का शुभारंभ करने की कृपा करें।
साथियों, प्रस्तुत है उन्नति, जहां सैकड़ों संस्थान, हजारों फैकल्टी और लाखों कर्मयोगी अब एक जीवंत राष्ट्रीय पारिस्थितिकी तंत्र का हिस्सा बनेंगे। यह केवल एक पोर्टल नहीं, यह एक राष्ट्रीय संकल्प की डिजिटल अभिव्यक्ति है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा, सर्वश्रेष्ठ प्रशासक वही होगा जो प्रौद्योगिकी और डेटा को समझे। यही निर्णय का आधार बनेगा। उन्नति इस आह्वान का उत्तर है। रियल टाइम एनालिटिक्स, निरंतर बेंचमार्किंग, एआई संचालित मार्गदर्शन, हर संस्थान समर्थ, हर कर्मयोगी सशक्त, हर निर्णय डेटा की शक्ति से संचालित। और और फिर कुछ ऐसा जो दुनिया ने पहले कभी नहीं देखा। उन्नति इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पूल, सार्वजनिक संपत्ति का एफिशिएंट एंड शेयर्ड यूटिलाइजेशन। उन्नति कोर्स पूल, जैसे नदियां मिलकर महानदी बनती हैं, भारत की सर्वोत्तम ट्रेनिंग्स अब हर कर्मयोगी तक प्रवाहित होगी। उन्नति फैकल्टी पूल, देश के सर्वश्रेष्ठ गुरु हर राज्य में, हर क्षेत्र में उपलब्ध। जैसे त्रिवेणी संगम में गंगा, यमुना और सरस्वती मिलती हैं, उन्नति में मिलती है भारत की संपूर्ण सिविल सेवा प्रशिक्षण शक्ति। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा, आम नागरिक के लिए स्थानीय कार्यालय ही सरकार का चेहरा है। उन्नति उस चेहरे को सक्षम, संवेदनशील और उन्नत बनाने का महासंकल्प है। जनशक्ति से राष्ट्र शक्ति, व्यक्ति परिवर्तन से राष्ट्र परिवर्तन। उन्नति, कर्मचारी से कर्मयोगी बनने की यात्रा। सक्षम कर्मयोगी, विकसित भारत 2047।
Thank you so much. With this, we move on to the roadmap for Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram. The Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram builds on earlier efforts to drive behavioral transformation and strengthen citizen-centric governance through Seva Bhav. With a structured nationwide rollout supported by trained facilitators and digital platforms like iGot, it aims to build a responsive and future-ready public workforce. May I please request the Honorable Minister to kindly launch the roadmap for Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram, please. We kindly also request to kindly bring the unveiling of the roadmap for Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram. Request. We also request Dr. Balu to kindly come on the dais, please. Ankita ma'am also to please be here with us while we launch the Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram. Ma'am and sir, they worked relentlessly on this. Ankita ma'am, to kindly come on this stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of Karmayogi Kartavya Karyakram. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. For the fourth segment of the launches, we have the MOU. Knowledge partnerships are central to evidence-based governance. This MOU with the research and information system for developing countries will strengthen research, policy support, and collaboration in capacity building. May I please now invite Shri Jagdeep Gupta, Sir, Secretary Capacity Building Commission, and Dr. Sachin Sharma, Director General, RIS, to kindly come forward for the MOU exchange. Sir, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the MOU exchange. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We thank the Honorable Minister, sir, for these landmark initiatives, each one a building block towards a future-ready, citizen-centric and accountable public service for India. Congratulations on the launches. We are now privileged to welcome Padma Shri Professor Ashutosh Sharma, sir. Institute Chair Professor at IIT Kanpur, former Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, and President of the Indian National Science Academy, a globally recognized leader in nanoscience. Sir's work spans research, policy, and institution building, with over 350 publications and 20,000 citations. A recipient of the Infosys Prize and TOS Science Prize, Professor Sharma brings rich experience at the intersection of science, governance, and capacity building. May I please request Padma Shri Professor Ashutosh Sharma sir to kindly address us and lead the interactive session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Now, it may not occur to us that we are looking at a historical occasion. It truly, and I will explain to you why this is historic. And you would totally agree at the end of this that this is something which is a positive disruption in the scientific landscape of the country after so many decades. It should have happened several decades ago, but it's happening now, which is not bad. And being a scientist, a whole lot of us here are scientists or science administrators. Raise your hand. Scientists and science administrators here. You see? So we all seek the cause and conditions for things to happen. And so the cause and condition in this case, it has to be an interdisciplinary thinking, interdisciplinary consciousness, which is provided by the Honorable Minister, because of his background, which is academics and clinical scientists, as well as the fact that he is looking after many departments of science and technology, as well as the departments which are purely administrative in nature, personnel, public grievances, pensions, and so on. So it took a minister of that kind to get things together. So I must tell you, so this is something that I've been thinking for at least a decade about this problem, and I'll tell you why. No country actually has succeeded in developing itself without a total mastery of science and technology. Now, what we historically thought is that science, can be left to scientists to manage. And they said, look, I mean, you look at civil service, you look at anything that happens in this world, people are so well prepared, and they are continuously well prepared for their job, except scientists. So scientists, I know this myself because I was a professor and I was thrown into secretary's office, right? And I first had to figure out, hey, what are these files? How do they move? What happens? They go up and down, everything, right? And so this is so vital for our science and technology that we have fully prepared people. Now, problem is, of course, that, a career bureaucrat cannot be turned into a scientist at this stage. So only option available is to turn a scientist into a bureaucrat. Okay. So this is clearly the logical way forward to be able to do this. And so this particular program that Honorable Minister would launch now, indeed is the philosophical, the operational aspect of this philosophy. And so I'm very glad this is going to happen. You would see the impact of it within 10 years. And now, you see, there are three very major transitions in a scientist's life. And they each have to be managed very well. They have to be totally understood and controlled in the right direction. The first transition happens when people join PhD, because they are the foot soldiers of science and technology and creating knowledge. Now, unfortunately, PhD program is totally unstructured. And this is something that we wish to take up, all the ministries of science and technology, ANRF, combined together. We cannot leave soldiers to whims and fancies of, little junior commissioned officers. It has to be something which comes, a great vision, a uniform vision about what makes science and technology successful. And I will actually tell you in a second what makes it successful or not. But anyhow, so this is something, that transition, which is so orthogonal to whatever people have done before it, has to be managed, because before PhD, people absorb knowledge and then crack exams. But in PhD, you have to produce knowledge. You have to be a leader, not a follower. So it requires a different orientation, and we have to provide that orientation. The second transition happens when a scientist becomes independent, the first assistant professor, the first scientist D, what have you, and suddenly they think, hey, now it's not somebody telling me, but I have to tell people what to do, how to do it, and so on. So they need direction, they need vision, they need, about their career and what does it all mean. I mean, most people are a little bit confused when they become scientists about what's the meaning of life and science and everything. The third transition that we are looking at here is very vital. So we are looking at here the governance and administrative structures of our science and our scientific institutions. So this question is basically this: what makes science and technology work for us? It is not our work in the lab. It is not our IQ. It is not our training in science. We have all of that. We have deep institutions, CSIR, and we have things like Indian National Science Academy and all. Dr. Shekhar Mande is sitting here, a representative of both of these institutions. We have all of that. We have great people who crack the toughest exams in the world. So question is, what is our weakness? Why are we not up there? People ask, why are we not getting Nobel Prize? People ask, why are we not leaders? Why are we followers? So that's the background. Now the background for science to succeed, we need a good invention ecosystem which creates knowledge with direction and relevance. And a lot of it is happening. Then we need another innovation ecosystem which converts knowledge into opportunity. And a whole lot of that is happening. Problem is, these two ecosystems, invention and innovation, they don't work together. So one of them represented by goddess Saraswati, which is invoked before every conference in science. But the other one is represented by Lakshmi, converting knowledge into opportunity, and is just totally missed by scientists. I ask hundreds of scientists and professors, what do you want? They say, nobody ever told me they need gyan. They say, I have gyan, I need money. So I say, you are barking up the wrong tree, right? I mean, why are you invoking Saraswati all the time? We must have a balance in our life. And so therefore, this mutual non-understanding between scientists and administrators have to go. It's clear that like Lakshmi and Saraswati working together, the administrator and scientists have to work together seamlessly, not by saying, I don't understand your language, I don't understand your motivation. So now one of the ways to do that is indeed to produce this composite person who is both a great scientist. Make no mistakes about it, we don't take a mediocre scientist because he'll not get respect in his community. Okay, so a leader, an administrative leader in science must be grounded in science. So nobody can say, hey, just, some guy picked up his, uncle is minister or somebody. We should never say that. So therefore, we need grounded scientists who are also grounded administrators. And this particular program is going to do exactly that. And so this would, the third condition for science to work is the right governance, administrative structure, policy. Don't worry about it, I got the check, 2.5 minutes, I'll do it. Yeah, okay, so so third condition for science to succeed, for it to make a societal impact, is that we have the right governance structure, the right policy, the right rules and regulations, and understanding of all of that in the top man up there. So this is basically what this particular program is aiming at, and I guarantee you from my very long experience both in science and some aspects of administration, that this would be what you call, it's a cliche to say game changer, it's a cliche to say disruptive, but it's going to be all of that and more. I haven't any doubt, sir, that the initiative that you so encouraged, so one time I went to see Hon'ble Minister about this program that we started in Indian National Science Academy, and I could see immediately within 2 minutes, he got the impact, he got the implications of this particular program and said we must scale it up. Now, so looking at the future, right now the program is going to be on a pilot scale, let's say 3 or 5 times that this would be run. Then you get some lessons from it, then you tune it better, then you optimize it better, you do all of that, and then And hopefully, I think this is so necessary to scale it up. I mean, you know, just training 20 people or 30 in a batch and doing 3 batches a year is not sufficient. Look at how many universities there are, 1,000, including private. We look at how many autonomous scientific institutions, there are hundreds of them. There are major colleges, all of that. They all require directors, vice chancellors, they require deans, and of course in the government itself, in the ministries, you require people who understand the direction of science, who can look out in the future. I mean, if you are looking at today, you are looking at the rise of AI. I mean, 5 years ago, when I wanted to launch, 8 years ago, wanted to launch a mission in AI, people were laughing at it. Why? Because they were administrators. They had no understanding of science, and they didn't know where the world is going to go, right? I mean, so we need to have both of them together and say, look, we can't be left behind, whether it is quantum, whether it's quantum technologies, whether it is AI, whether it is antimicrobial resistance. All of them are going to put constraints on our growth, and we must understand those constraints now and to prepare for them. Otherwise, it will be too late for us to actually respond to these challenges, which are both scientific and governance in nature. So I want to congratulate both, CBC, which has taken it up very effectively, and INSA working together with it. And we must have a lot of stakeholders for this process. People should understand that this is the only way that our science is going to succeed, that is going to deliver the fruits of science to society, is going to deliver progress, development, and so on. And this is what we need from our science and technology, that it doesn't work in silos. It has basically, to conclude, it has the ESG analysis, who we are. Now, you all know ESG is done by industries. It's environment, society, and governance framework. So if we not understood the governance framework of anything, science is too important to be left only with scientists. Even though I'm a scientist, I'm saying that honestly, and I can debate this point to anybody who likes to debate about it. So let's be totally prepared. Let's do the DNA of ESG, environment, sustainability, society, and governance, built into our science, in its institutions of science, in the individuals of science, in the ministries, and everywhere, every stakeholder of science. Thank you very much.
सादर धन्यवाद सर। सम्मानित उपस्थित जनों, अब हम इस कार्यक्रम के मुख्य उद्बोधन के चरण पर पहुंच चुके हैं। हम आभारी हैं, आज हमारे बीच माननीय मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह सर उपस्थित हैं। वे वैज्ञानिक उत्कृष्टता और प्रशासनिक दूरदृष्टि का समन्वय दर्शाते हैं, चाहे स्पेस और एटॉमिक एनर्जी के महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र हों या साइंस और गवर्नेंस के नए आयाम। अब मैं माननीय मंत्री महोदय से निवेदन करूंगा कि वे अपने मुख्य उद्बोधन को प्रस्तुत करें। माननीय सर।
Chairperson, Capacity Building Commission, Madam Radha Chauhan, Professor Ashutosh, Professor Abhay, Dr. Ravi Chandran, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Dr. Shekhar Mande, all the eminent members of the fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I am personally gratified for the fact that, to pick up from what Madam Radha was saying, that I had had the privilege to be a witness to this entire exercise right from the moment the idea of Karmayogi was born, then on to the next stage when this idea found its fructification and implementation, and then further on when it moved on from one level to the other in this glorious journey of the last 5 years to reach this destination where we stand today. And so also, as someone in charge of DOPT, I have had the opportunity of watching the evolution of the Capacity Building Commission. This was a new experience for the government, I think for the first of its time. Adil and his team, they were new to the government. And honestly speaking, the government was also new to them. So the phrase had to be changed, the manner you address you had to change. I, being from also a non-government sector, could call Balu Balu, and he could call me the manner he did, but then he had to learn that he has to address differently. And there were certain reservations, some hesitation, and I remember I told Adil, don't feel shy of introducing the flavor of private sector into the government sector, because ultimately we'll have to move on together. And of course, we have not graduated to the stage where we call the senior by the first name, but maybe next generation will do that. So it has to be an intermingling of the two cultures, because the age of silos is over. And I must confess that originally this idea of capacity building commission, when it was put before the Honorable Prime Minister, it was he personally very indulgent and very forthcoming and very encouraging. Otherwise it wouldn't have been possible, because this is a kind of an out-of-box decision. And at that moment, many were wondering what it's all about. In fact, when capacity building commission, the first year, they didn't know what to do. The different ministries didn't know what to do, and they also didn't know what are their mandate for. So I remember in the initial months, I would call on the ministries and tell them, give them this task, they'll do it for you. And gradually they could prove themselves to rise to this level. And that also vindicates the idea that once found its patronage from the Honorable Prime Minister. And therefore, as we complete the 5 years of Karmayogi, looking back, it's not fair to be very judgmental, because it's a very brief period. In the footnote of a history chapter, 5 years don't even find a footnote reference. Of course, for an elected representative like me, it means a lot. Because after every 5 years, I have to go back to seek the approval to stay on, whereas others can. But in the life of an academic journey, 5 years is just an infancy. But nevertheless, you have made a mark to the extent that you find reference, you are being noticed, you are being sought after by different agencies, both at the center and the state itself, is a compliment to the kind of accomplishment that has happened over the 5 years, and Balu has been there right from the beginning. Mission Karmayogi, as Madam Radha was saying, to put it brief, the shift from rule to role, so that an official doesn't become the prisoner of the rule book handed over to him. And when we started off, when he didn't know what it is about, but I then tried to explain, I said, look here, when you come out of the academy in Mussoorie, you are taught to impose the writ of the authority. Rightly so, you have to govern. You can't govern. Sarkar ka ikbal aapko sthapit karna hai, qaim karna. So the urge inside me, a silent instinct inside me, starts tutoring me. Today I am Agriculture Secretary. Overnight, a reshuffle of secretaries happens, I become Health Secretary. And then doctors come to me seeking different kinds of their tasks, and something inside me starts dictating me to pretend as if I can write a better prescription than a doctor. But now this is one instrument which will give you confidence actually, because you can overnight prepare yourself for the next assignment, if you are impaneled, if you are transferred. So it's a very dynamic and very scientifically done. And then of course, learning from this experience, they moved on to the next level, the missionary Prarambha for the new entrants. And now they have also moved on to the different specific domains. And I think the latest reiteration of this exercise is that when we moved into the new Prime Minister's office, Seva Tirth, the slogan given there by Prime Minister himself is Nagarik Devo Bhava, which I think precisely is what our friend was trying to say in chaste Sanskrit, which I would not dare at the risk of mispronouncing. But I think Nagarik Dev Bhav is the sense of what was being said. And the Sadhana Saptah, I must compliment the chairperson for coining these 3 sutras of technology, tradition, and tangible outcomes. Now, when we talk of technology, I think like any other aspect, governance today is also not only driven by technology, but dominated by technology. And it's essential for the timeline discipline, for maximum transparency being in place, for objective decision making, and also for minimum subjectivity and effective delivery. And technology has proved to be, because we have seen this happening in our CP grams and all the other success stories emanating from the Ministry of Personnel. And the CBC has been consistently pursuing this goal. I think UNNATI is one of the examples of this, where it has been revamped in the fashion that it was presented today. But what gives me the maximum delight and personal pleasure, to pick up from what Professor Ashutosh said, this training program for the science leaders and science administrators. In fact, when Ashutosh took over as president, INSA, and happened to meet me, I said this, I shared with him, I think that was the first time, because I was always very apprehensive of sharing this idea. I didn't know how the scientists would take it, I also didn't know how the government would take it. So I told him that something that keeps weighing on my mind is that there is no institutionalized course for academicians, not only scientists, even for the university teachers, academicians. Suddenly from the classroom you are placed in the seat of a vice chancellor. And he was very encouraging. He said, yeah, I have already started working on something like this. I wanted to discuss with you. So gradually then we evolved, and with a 1-week program, then 3 days residential or something like that. And that happened because I think he has a point when he says that it has taken 7 decades, because Ashutosh happened after 7 decades. And the man standing before you also happened after 7 decades. The reason being that in 2014, when I was suddenly became a part of the government and handed over this department, honestly speaking, I didn't know what DOPT stands for. And I have no hesitation saying so, because I came from a different domain. I had made a name for myself nationally, even in the Southeast Asia, so I never bothered to intermingle with the administrators or to emulate what they were doing. So suddenly this DOPT, and actually I had to ask what DOPT stands for. And in the early days in North Block, I would sit late till 10 o'clock trying to read books, what is R&R, what is GFR, because I didn't want to, get the better of me by the officers. So I wanted to learn before they came and taught me. And I vividly recall that these were the very few initial days of the government, and since Mr. Arun Jaitley was very close to me and he was sitting in the same block, normally he was keeping a track of how the things are going on in the initial few weeks of the government. So somebody told him that this guy is sitting there till 10 o'clock and trying to read what it's all about. So I remember next day he asked me, he said, is it getting too heavy on you? Is it unfair to you? I said, no, I'm enjoying it because it's a new learning experience for me. But that self-learning may not always be specific, absolute, and also maybe more time consuming. And therefore we have an institutionalized learning process here. I'm sure this experiment or experience which we gain by having this kind of a program for scientists will also be taken benefit of by the universities, the academic institutions, because there also it is equally as much important. I sometimes find a vice chancellor taking over, because I have a wide circle in academics, and in the first few days out of his enthusiasm, he would write a letter straight to Prime Minister. You are invited to so-and-so function. And one of our friends did that, and I had to politely call him up. I said, this is not a Mundan ceremony happening in your house. So please, you route it through the manner that has to be done. But he was doing it out of innocence. So these small things, which of course those come from the scientific domain, do not have the opportunity to be taught. So therefore, I think, and at the same time, this has to be a dynamic process. Like capacity building is also graduating from one level to the other. I think this program also will have to be constantly, dynamically evolved as we have new technologies and options available, notably the AI now coming in, and how much to use, how intelligently you can use the artificial intelligence is again a great challenge. And I think ultimately, as Balu might have referred in the earlier session, he was telling me the hybrid model that we introduced in the CP grant, where we try to combine the HI or the human intelligence with the AI. After the disposal of AI-driven grievance, there is a human being talking. I think finally that has to be so, and that also has to evolve, the hybrid model, because AI may be a substitute for many things, but certainly not for human integrity. And I'll give you a small example. We had Mr. Chaturvedi, possibly the longest living civil servant, who passed away about 5 years back at the ripe old age of late 90s. And since I'm fond of listening stories from the oldies, so collecting some inputs. So he used to narrate anecdotes, and he said when he first time became an SDM in the then Andhra, or then Hyderabad state, and his collector was a British officer who would regularly go to the officers' club in the evening, as was the culture that time. And the office happened to be somewhere midway between his office and his residence. So he would take the office car after the office hours and let the car drop him at his residence and then walk back instead of getting dropped midway, so that nobody could ever accuse him of having used the car to go to club. So I think that is something, and I think the easiest definition is that how you conduct when you're not being watched, when you're not being checked. So that is something which AI cannot substitute for. And that is also going to be a challenge as we deal with these new technologies. And I think since Madam Radha was saying that, I think she's put me into a bad habit of giving all kind of suggestions because she listens. So it's her generosity. So like I said, the sadhana can be capital. I think we could have also a small kind of model for answering parliament questions for all of us. That could be one more model, because we'll go on adding to the IGOT. And the assistant secretaries, because this experiment was also started by this government, the 2-3 month stint by the new pass-outs from Mussoorie. So during their stint here, they could have one session with the capacity building where they could also be handed over this kind of the new paradigms that we have thought about, both in the context of the priority programs of the government, which of course that is one mandate for them to acquaint themselves, but how do we do through the IGOT systems. We could have a small module, even a very brief, because they don't want to take away much of their time on the IGOT itself at the very early stage. We are doing it for officers. We are also doing it at Pranam when they join the service, but even before they go to the cadre. And that will be doing good to both, because I told them in the first session, because we were apprehensive whether we would appreciate it or not by these new probationers or pass-outs, because suddenly when they go to the state cadre, they become officers. Here we were holding them back for 3 months. So when I met the first batch, that was 2013. When we started in 2016, the batch was 2013. So I said, look, we will go as far as you accommodate, so because there is no compulsion. But I'm sure you'll go, at the end of the day, you'll find it useful. Of course, you'll be able to find mentors over here. But more than that, it'll do you good. A lot of leveling, because suddenly when you go from Mussoorie and become an SDM in a small town, you have 4 attendants to look after your 4 limbs. And you have a huge beeline of matchmakers outside the door. So you get shaken up, what's happening all around. So there is a huge kind of a mutual both ways, and they have really enjoyed it. Most of those batches and collectors that we have around the country belong to these. So we could have it because they are good. Now they are very receptive about it, and also because they are the ones who are going to be the architects of Viksit Bharat. So when we indulge in their capacity building, we could satisfy ourselves also by telling ourselves that we are actually contributing to the capacity building of India 2047. So with these few words, thank you very much for accommodating all of us on a Sunday.
सादर आभार माननीय मंत्री महोदय, आपके प्रेरणादायी उद्बोधन के लिए। नागरिक केंद्रित सुशासन में सत्यनिष्ठा के संबंध में आपके द्वारा साझा किए गए दृष्टिकोण ने हम सभी को एक नई दिशा प्रदान की है। साथ ही इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज्ड लर्निंग स्ट्रक्चर्स और टेक्नोलॉजीज पर आपके विचार हम सभी के लिए अत्यंत प्रेरक और मार्गदर्शक हैं।
Thank you, Rajat. As we come to the close of this session, special session of Karmayogi Saptah, I kindly invite Shri Jagdeep Gupta, sir, Secretary, Capacity Building Commission, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir.
Honorable Minister Sir, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Professor Abhay Karankar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Director Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. M. Ravi Chandran, Secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Madam Radha Chauhan, Chairperson, Capacity Building Commission, Dr. Alka Mittal, Member, Capacity Building Commission. Good afternoon. Today's session, we highlighted the need to strengthen leadership and administrative capacity, especially of our scientific community. The session was in sync with what Honorable PM in his inaugural message mentioned, that integration of technology in administrative work is very important. Today's session also brought focus to improving training systems through collaborative and digital platforms while keeping citizens at the center. Today's launches mark an important step in strengthening the capacity building ecosystem. On behalf of Capacity Building Commission and Karmayogi Bharat, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Jitendra Singh, sir, Honorable Minister, for gracing the occasion. And sir, your inspiring keynote address and your guidance continues to strengthen our collective efforts toward building a future-ready and citizen-centric civil services. And I am sure, sir, that under your guidance, CBC will continue to strive to achieve the objectives of Mission Karmayogi. We are grateful to Padam Shri Professor Ashutosh Sharma for his insightful and thought-provoking address, which added great depth to today's deliberations. My thanks to Professor Abhay Karankar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, and Dr. M. Ravi Chandran. My sincere thanks to Madam Radha Chauhan, Chairperson CBC, for her leadership and vision in steering Mission Karmayogi. I thank Dr. Alka Mittal, Member Administration CBC, for her continued guidance and contribution to strengthen the capacity building ecosystem. I would like to thank all the senior officers, representatives from different ministries, departments, scientists, training institutes, and knowledge partners for their valuable contribution. With these words, I extend my sincere thanks to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Let us continue this journey of learning and growth through the week ahead. With this, we conclude the special session. Again, to reiterate, sir, can we please request for a photograph here? Sir, photo आपके लिए, sir, that is a possibility. Sir, just here, sir. Sir, please, sir. To reiterate sir's words of integrity is what we do when nobody is watching, and Honorable Chairperson's message of focusing on adaptive and human component of developmental aspects. I request everyone to kindly assemble here. Kindly come forward for the photograph. Thank you so much, sir.